Okay, it's Sunday and the market's going to open tonight, and you got to love that. This weekly chart here I did last week. I just want to go back and review the trades. The trend line break analysis, channel trading, I suppose you could call it. The crude oil is banging up against this channel line here. The other video had everything compressed. I'm gonna go and fix the scale here and stretch everything out, so you drill down and see what's really going down on the drill down. I believe the trend lines. Most of these trend lines I kept from the last video, and I just want to do the drill down here because they're just watching another video, and I know that there's the big picture, and there's the top down approach to the market, but in actuality, I kind of want to do what's happening now because I need money now. I need to get in. If I think that the market is retracing, I want to ride the retrace, and I think it's going into the major trend, which is down, obviously. But who wants to miss out on this move here? Nobody really wants to step away from, or not take advantage of these kind of big moves, counter moves. So this big move here, and then you pause at the doji. Now, if you're a volatility entry person, you're waiting for a small wick, and you got 3 dojis in a row there. And on the smaller time frame, you're breaking out, you're forming a triangle, and then you get a nice move there, back up into almost that doji and continue down. But right now we're cutting into this, and sellers will be coming in. A lot of scalping could be done with, I suppose, sell limits just beyond that wick for a pull back into, say, here. And a lot of people are selling here, thinking crude's going to go down to. I don't think it is. I think that everything's turning now, and we're going to go after this line here at $38 a barrel, and then of course the big target here at the previous pivot, $40. Good old $40. That seems like the possibility there. And the next chart here, I'll look at the. Shouldn't I have a good time with that piece there? Okay, so the guppy was a buy limit pending setup entry. I'm gonna fix the scale. How it is. There you go. Okay, I just totally screwed up the platform. You can't, when you fix that scale and you reopen, you can make a big mess. So this I would be buying on limits, still haven't got filled. It's still going down on the weekly. You could have jumped on the 1 hour train for a trend line break going down. And let me just stretch this out. Try to find the. So this was the channel's been established, or that trend line, that hard trend line I closed. So this was all the buy limits that I would have gone long on. So counter, like trading right at the beginning of the up move into here. So I want to ride it, counter trend trade it off the insane bottom here. And if you go far enough to the left, but you don't have to, this based on this triangle entry here. So that's going back quite a bit of time. That was 2 years back. Look at this, about 2 pips beyond that. Buyers come in real bad. Now you could set pendings for that. You could have set all those orders. As you can see it coming down, and here was my buy limit on here. So this one I took a heat of 100 pips, and but you don't have to have just one order. I don't think you can do it with just one order because you got scalps in there, and you might have actually just scalped. It certainly lost on the tighter stops as it was crushing down, but you would obviously be on the daily time frame, and you would have gone long on these. Of course, this was the first initial burst. Now here's the retest, and Sunday, was that one? The rally was up into here. If you were going with this down move here, they got overshot your. So the weekly is always smoother looking data. Always here you're looking to buy because you're looking for a rally back up in here. But you look on the weekly, you see you would have got filled. Oh, that's right. This broker actually went offline. It doesn't show what really happened here. It won't give me an update on the daily. Actually, this is the last time I run a daily chart in here. So we're not this price anymore. So that's a big problem with this thing. We're already back up into, if you take off all these lines, you're up into, see that there's a problem here with the data. We're right here right now, but if you go to the daily, that price is here. It doesn't make sense. We've been down here and back already. See this line here? It's so hard. Sometimes you look at this data and you just can't even see. We've already been down here and back up to here right now. So you can't even see it on this chart, and it's kind of funny. It's a great example of you got buy limits here. If you go to the weekly, and since the broker has gone, the demo account died or the broker went bankrupt, you would have been filled if your buy limits were here, you got filled. But if you go to the daily, you cannot see that happen. We've already been all the way down here. These would have been, you'd be long on all these orders, but you had to be willing to place all those pendings in front ahead of the market there. I got another problem here. Oh, this is not gonna. Trying to get the prices to show up there, but see, you've already been down there and back. You're trading at the closing prices right here right now, and if you bought at this top, you're still at a loss there, but you've made it all back up on these things and getting in here at this top here. You got a buy limit here. You've already been filled and you're out. You go to the daily, since the data feed's down, you're long on all this stuff. But it's a great example of, you think this is the bottom, right? And this is old data. So when the market was, I think last Friday, going back, well, this February 18th is like the last update, I guess, here. But when you think, oh, this is the bottom, and who hasn't looked at these charts and said, yeah, it's the bottom there on a buy, or you have buy stops here. Of course, you never got filled when you trade on defensively like that. You never get filled if it's not going to go your way. So confirmation on entry technique, you overpay, but you're going with the flow. And of course, it isn't a downtrend, but plenty of money to be made on the counter trend moves there. The other one here, which I'm not going to go to the daily because I didn't say the problem here. If I go to the daily, since the market's gone, this was what it looked like on my last video. But we went down in here and we filled these orders in this blue zone. Now this blue zone could be packed with who knows how many orders. This is a 300 pip range here, and so that trade worked out. As far as getting in at the lows without any confirmation from anything, no RSI, nothing. You're just saying, I will buy low, I will sell high, or I will sell high, I will buy low, and that's really typically how the brokers end up. Your account makes money when you do those things. So if you go to the weekly, you can see this giant wick hammer. You wanted to be that wick, you wanted to be that hammer, you want to make that money. So maybe you got out here, or you're holding for the target being the last known bottom, this price here. Right there, there's the target. I can't move that trend line. But there's a target. You got in here, you get out there, trade's over. Then it goes sideways or whatever time frame you can tolerate. Here's another example of a stop out, and it just keep going up to here, come back. Let's go to the next currency here. As far as Did you make money on that stuff? It depends how many orders you put in. Certainly, it is a counter, or it is a kind of an edge entry idea, technique. The dollar CAD, as I said in the other video, that it's still melting down, and I think a lot of people are going to try to get long down in the this trend line here, but some of these markets, like, they move so fast. Once this thing picks up speed to the downside, you're talking about it taking out even this would be your ideal setup in a way, because it's coming back to this, and you're coming right into this support area here, the horizontal supports, but you have the diagonal supports, which you're basing that on the last known breakout. These double tops get taken out like that, so that's your argument for, and you could even come into, if you give it an envelope here, so there's a high probability bounce here, and a lot of people, their target, in a perfect world, your target's here. So it's the same kind of setup as buying these dips, momentary dips, to make that trade of buying here, and then it comes back to here. It may not even make it back to here. When it's really on a tear, the scenario can be like, it's really got to come down to here for the bounce at this pivot here, and you're going to get, and then your exit's going to be here. But it's a weekly chart, for God's sakes. If you're on the daily, and I can't go to the daily here even if I want to, and so that's set up. Next pair is the I have a hard time with my drawing tool here. Next pair is the dollar yen, and that was another, just like the euro yen, your buy limits are here. So I never got filled on this. Here's an example of having to buy. If you really are looking for your target to be up here, you got to start buying at the market or buy on stops that come up into, if this is where you want to buy here but you want to get out there, or maybe you want to go and sell off that, but instead of waiting for this to come up and then sell here, just get in here. So I only got filled in this limit, and this is why if you have a cluster of orders in here, you would have scalped to here at least already, and not getting filled on this just means less stuff to manage. So when you're placing traps, and you're placing these bear traps or roll traps, whatever, and you come back to see how it worked, right? So if you're trying to trap, say, minks or raccoons, whatever you're doing, and I'm gonna put this on the weekly. So the other currency was the euro dollar. Now euro dollar, my buy limit was down here, so I think I got filled on that. I'm just saying that if that was your limit order entry, this is my this is the fair value, the middle of the road on the weekly euro for the entry. Looking for it to come back into the middle of the road where all these dojis stack up, and now we're looking for it to go marching after this, and everybody will be, the scalpers will be looking for this to go a few pips above there and come back to here for their target. So they're looking for that move. And I do think the thing's going to go marching north quite a bit from now. And at the end of the month, I'll probably do a monthly, maybe not with this broker, because just set up a whole new series of charts, and I'll be able to look at the monthly view. Now the euro to the pound is still tearing up, and this is going to be the target for the bulls. They're looking to take off their profits, and some people are looking to get short in what they consider to be a downtrend at this level up here. Now the fact that a lot of people had bought down here and rode this breakthrough here to fill this big void. There's this big vacuum up in here. They probably logically had to take their profits here, but the fact that it's just cutting through here, is pretty significant, because if it comes through here, cuts back, and it goes sideways here, and then it has a very high probability of just keep screaming north and just cutting all the way back. And so for whatever reason, just the fact that there's this big hole to fill on the top there, big hole, and that trend line's been going on for years. So looks like they're going to clobber the pound there a little bit, and so that would be, you would have had already been long on that. So you want to get in just before the trend line break. Trend line breaks, it's your confirmation to hold through the trade. This one is definitely a buy. So you're forming a triangle there, and buy limits never got filled down here, but of course you didn't lose any money. It never even pulled back to this diagonal double tops become a bottom, so you never even got that. And the resistance on this thing's obviously right there, but we could come cutting through north on that. And once this thing goes beyond here, then we could finally get the prediction that I had back here, that when we got to here, we were just going to bust north, because you're within like about 20 pips here of just going north like crazy. And the trend line break, if you want to be short before that trend line break, right up in that, hold after the trend line breaks, hold. You could get short the trend line break, but you're technically risking way more, because you'd have to technically put your stop here, or you sell here. But if you're selling right up in this window where they're trapping the bears, you hold through the trend line break and you cover here. So that's why you got that doji. A lot of people covered here. Monster wick. But looks like right now we're going to like weasel our way past there. And I'm going to tell you what, if the dollar goes to hell and gold goes up, this guy's going to go to par. Besides, like, I suspect a lot of people are getting old. You know, nobody wants to have to fight with all this stuff coming down the pike here, all these regulations and all this Obamacare nonsense. People just go to New Zealand, you know, go to a pretty place, retire. They're giving the best interest rates. You park your money in the bank and you step away and you kick your feet up like the old days. And the new form of retirement is not to go to Florida. If you worked in Detroit, it's to go to a whole nother country, because the world's getting smaller and the United States is just New York, and New Zealand is Florida, right? So you're just that's what's gonna happen. Go to Australia, you know, you get yourself, you know, this is what's gonna happen for the rich people, and so they say follow the money, right? That's the classic, follow the money. I don't know. Let me go to the next guy up here. Where we at? New Zealand CAD. I was on just New Zealand. So let's go to dollar CAD. I duplicated that chart, but you see it melting down here, coming into the buy zone or the scalp bounce zone. And here's the Australian dollar screaming north. This was the if you missed that entry 2 weeks ago, it looks like we're about to start cutting through these stops, and the trend line is breaking here. So you want to be long before that trend line break. You want to buy it right now, or buy in this range right here. You know, if you can handle these kind of wide stops, you can handle that punishment. And the Australian CAD is even, we broke this trend line here, and we're coming back. I don't know if we'll be able to get back to these buy limits that I placed. Never got filled. And I mean, these are just not real trades, but I'm saying all these would be the places to go long. But I'm paper trading it, saying these are buy limits. Australia was my big. This was the only thing that actually broke a major downtrend line, and it's about to cut. I think we're going to cut all the way back up to where everybody's going to take profits. But I think it's going to just look like that other currency, where the euro versus the pound, where once we get to here, yeah, people take profits, but we're going to actually cut again. And this is going to be a pretty amazing a currency that's just been butchered. A lot of people are going to get out there, but if it pauses, then look at this. If New Zealand starts to go towards par with the American dollar, then this thing's got a lot of catch up. It'll play catch up to it. But this is for people that can handle wide stops and waiting a lot of time. But the stock traders trade Forex, and people can wait. I mean, it's amazing. I don't have the skill set for patience, but people can wait on these things and actually get in here. Now, this trade here, I said buy on limits here, or buy here on the retest. So this is my one. Unless you had a tight stop, if you have a wide stop on this, you're definitely getting your ass kicked. Next entry would be the. I buy right now. I can't go to the daily, but I'd be getting filled on that buy limit right now, and I have a buy limit down there. So I would space buy limits all the way down right now. And if you're on the daily or the 4 hour, those are all scalp trades. When you're on those time frames, you just have to be a scalper and have a different account for some of these swing trades. Like if you're going to really trade the weeklies, then just have a separate broker or a separate account, and don't alter those trades, because if they have 100 pip stops and 300 pip stops, it's ridiculous to take that trade off the table if you're a single bullet trader, or if you have just a revolver with 6 shots. I mean, the old day. I mean, when they came out with guns that had these cartridges you could load with many bullets, it's different than one where you could actually spin the revolver. And it's hard to play Russian roulette with those. I guess you're not supposed to call them clips, but whatever they call them, bullets on a spring-loaded track. Those, it's a different thing. So go to the let's see, dollar Swiss. Now this does look like we could have a collapse in the dollar versus Swiss, but it's quiet here. The argument for selling is that this bottom has now become a top, and we're going to come down here, but it's kind of still in this drift up trend. So this doesn't look like it really could happen. I mean, this is going to take a few weeks, but if it does start breaking and coming down, it's definitely going to be it could be a slow melt, but I don't like this pair too much. If I was actually trading it, just it's too quiet. It's a little too quiet and a little too I don't know. The way you just have to go with whatever the market's giving you for a setup. Right now, you'd have to say you're long, but this is kind of a. It looks like a bull trap to me. Like if you had your buy stops here on the weekly and you're long, you're already underwater. You got to stop here, and if they start coming after that, but they could just. With the 80% of the market is just going to torture people with this, and they're not going to be able to get in, make much money, because they couldn't survive all this to experience this giant move. They knew they were in an uptrend, but they just kept getting kicked out, and finally they make their money back. So that's why I decided to become a short-term time frame trader, because it's just you just kicked out, kicked in. You're in and out, forget it. And here's the insane pound New Zealand, which you need to have like probably at least a 50 pip stop on these trades, but I'd be getting long right here. So I'm about to get filled on my this support here, but I think we could crush down another say 200 to 150 pips here, bounce out of that scalp, and I don't know if we'll ever make it back to this for the target, because this is such a hard move down that you might have to take profits at this last known doji. I mean, all you get, and then one more thing here. But we're definitely getting into this ripe zone here for a lot of, we go into the market phase of sideways trading, and you put on your range trading hat and start the range trade, right? And you kind of have to forget about the trend. I mean, we all know that the market is this a downtrend Well, other people would say, no, it's just sideways, just range trading. Is this a downtrend? Is this an uptrend? I don't know. Is this a breakout to go crazy north? Yeah. Where there are some scalps here up and down. You know, when you're in a giant, like if you're an ant on the sidewalk, do you care about the traffic 3 miles down the road? Probably not. So this is one thing to consider, is that once you figure out where you're at time-wise and all that stuff, but here is definitely where a lot of trading took place. So that pound New Zealand for the big wide stop, high risk, high pip risk, I suppose, traders. That's that's about it. The crude is kind of like say the dollar index, and if this thing starts marching north, then all bets are off for the crude going to some. And when you hear those outlandish targets, like it's going to $10 a barrel, all that talk was right in here, and this was the trap. So all these people are talking, oh, it's just it's going down to $5 a barrel. This is like when gold was supposed to go down to $35. Remember when gold was at $275? They said, oh, it's going to go back to $35. And I go, what? Yeah, I don't know. If you looked at that setup, you could see the entry on gold back at $250, $275, and then it's just started marching north and just going nuts. I mean, crude can call all the way back to $80 a barrel, and it's really going to be something else. I mean, even 40 being the first target, but this kind of stuff is just amazing. The talk. This is kind of when they said gold's going to 3,000 to 5,000. We were like 1,800, 1,500. Like, oh boy. And I know people get excited. They start projecting, and you have the projections here on the channel. But the market eventually reaches a point. Maybe there's 3, 5, 8 hits, 2 hits on a trend channel, and then it's over. Game over. Going the other way. And that's just this is how it is. You can look back at any chart. And even here, a lot of people made tons of money on this move here. This was kind of ranging here for a while, but it's just getting to be too much there. And if you go to the monthly, look where you're at on this thing. You're right back in. You trapped below here, and that would be your target. At least 32. Was it $32? No, this data's screwed up. I'm missing the. This is when it's 29. I can't change time frames on this because this broker's offline. But anyways, that's it. I guess can't say too much about this. Trading's boring, and that's just how it is.